So, baby, I will be listening to OBG.
Hi, I'm an OBG. I've never been one for fashion, really. That's part design and choice, or maybe nurturing. And the fact of the matter is, I've kind of got stuck on Adidas. I'm a black man after all, and it's quite funny considering that the founder was a Nazi, Adi Dassler, and by the way, his brother went on to found Puma. And I've never been one. When I say fashion, let me explain. Uh, so with fashion, and I don't really get it really. Obviously, it's something that exists, something we've created as people, but it's been hijacked because if you want to control people, a good way is to make them wear uniforms, and we see that in the military, the police, security guards, low-paid workers, factory workers, and so on. You know, you put them into a uniform and tell them that they belong to this whole group of subservient people and that they're to obey orders. But moving on from there, I've never ever been one for fashion in a sense. I bought this from a second-hand shop purely because I like the colour, and the tracksuit that I had before this, because I tend to buy a tracksuit up and wear it until it's dead. So that makes me recognisable. And for those of you who do know me in person and maybe seen images, I always used to wear a blue tracksuit with two light blue stripes on it. I wore that for about 6-7 years. I actually lost it. That's the only reason that, I'm not sending that anymore. And footwear. And with footwear, there's just something about being hooked into wearing footwear with a name. And I think that's not only about showing, wealth or status, but it's also about quality, because I find that I wore no-name trainers for a while, and you know the term, and I was buying like 3 pairs a year, 4 pairs a year, and I found if I spent like maybe between $49.99 to $69.99 on a pair of trainers, I can get 3-4 years out of them, and I'm talking about consistent wear. So those are my excuses or reasons, excuse reason, or melded into one for wearing stuff with name. Other than that, I've just never been a brand person. I just see something and I like it. In fact, we grew up buying stuff from jumble sales. And for the you poor East Londoners, or poor Londoners, poor people who know about this, in the UK, jumble sales were a big thing. You go to a church and you could buy second-hand items and so on. And we were actually closed from jumble sales, and it was the norm for us. So it's something I've never was embarrassed about or will be embarrassed about. And something that I'm a firm believer in, partly through nurturing and through education, in that us people who have wealth, and I'm talking about Europeans in the main, or most of Europeans, we tend to, have many items of clothing. And then when we're done with our clothing, we tend to discard them. And then we also have this mentality that we're not going to wear another person's second-hand clothes. And I think that's the way any community should survive and thrive. If someone has many clothes or has the ability to buy or obtain many clothes, when they're finished with them, they should pass them on to another person, because there's always someone who thinks differently to you and doesn't mind wearing those items. And typically, we're throwing away good items. Now, everybody I talk to, you say, what do you do with your second-hand clothes? And they all pretend that they give them away. But I've met so many people, you take a peek in their wardrobe and it's like, oh, do you still wear that? Oh, no, it don't fit me anymore. Why have you got it there? Oh, because I'm a collector. I'm a wealthy European. And the things that I no longer use, I just like to keep. I don't want to really give them to anyone else who may be more needy. Now, as a kid, when I grew up, I had no fashion sense at all. When I say no fashion sense, I had my own fashion going on. I've got some images, such as this one, when I was about 20. And, I just put on anything. And with that one, I'd cut off the bottom half of a pair of light blue jeans and put a drawstring through them where I made a hem and tied a bow. I had my trainers on, but I used to wear blue pointed suede shoes with that outfit. And not only would I have the cap on, but I'd have the cap on backwards with a black leather studded cap pointing forward. So I had these two hats on. And it took me many, many years to realise who I was trying to emulate. And when I looked at the images much later, I realised I was so into Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 at the time. And when you look at their images there, you'll see that they had these crazy, crazy styles. And I believe I was trying to emulate that, but I wasn't aware at the time. And the thing that did make me aware was one day I was walking down the street and all these geezers outside a pub, and they looked scary. I mean, it was a fucking racist pub, just like most of the pubs in the UK, little strongholds for people to go and take drugs and be racist at. That I was walking past the pub and suddenly some guy whistled at me and I thought to myself, what's that all about? And so I got on a bus. I was going to dance school. I had leg warmers on. And I realised they think I'm gay. Now, that didn't matter to me still at one bit. That's how open my mind was at that age. I kind of thought to myself, you know what? So what? And when things like that did used to happen to me, it used to make me more adamant to be obvious in what I was doing, like any young person does. You know, you want to push who you are and say, yeah, no, look at me. I'm different. And it's like, you're not. You're dressed up like everyone else. But if truth be said, I wasn't dressed up like anyone else, as the image shows. Let me show you that again. So, yeah, fashion's never been a thing for me. It's a method of control, and it's an idiotic process that we go through. We clothe ourselves just to hide our nudity, basically. And if someone says that blue is in fashion at the moment, to me, it just seems like a stupid idea. How can a colour be in fashion? You know, clothing's to protect us from the elements and for our dignity, and obviously not to offend other people, because we become kind of ashamed of nudity and so on. But to tell people that short skirts are in, or big coats, or coats with fur collars, or these type of shoes is just a crazy notion. And the proof for me that it is a method of control is that you feel comfortable with what you're wearing. And if you get a slight personality change, as we all do some days, you know, your clothes call you. When it's summer and the sun's out, suddenly your bright clothes seem to, you know, wear me. And, you know, we're putting the brighter clothes. If you're in a somber mood or, you know, like in different mood, then you wear the clothes to suit typically. If you're going to a wedding or, you know, a party, then you put on, you know, what we consider as smart clothes, a suit for business and so on. But whoever wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, I'm fed up with wearing these flared trousers. I want really tight jeans that come down to a point at the bottom. And, you know, it's like, it's as if that's meant to be a collective thing. Suddenly everyone in your town wakes up with that idea. And it's like, no, the people who are dictating what you wear decide what's going to be fashion. And then they just sell it to us. Next thing you know, you're buying these clothes. And when I challenge people, I say, why are you wearing those clothes? Oh, because it's just because they're comfortable. I said, no, I don't think it's because it's comfortable. It's because it's the fashion. And they argue.
Damn, son, where'd
So
you
I
find
do this
this?
little thought experiment. And I say, right, if you was to close your eyes and I put on clothes of the same cut and you said that you're comfortable in them, then I ask you to open your eyes. And the trousers were yellow with black polka dots and the top was orange with like green stripes. Would you still wear the clothes? And they say no. So for me, that defeats the argument that they're wearing the clothes to be comfortable. They're wearing the clothes because it's fashion. It's that simple. Same with you. And you may claim you're a little different to the fashion. And I see people adorning tattoos now, which to me is a kind of form of clothing and identity. And all you're doing is conforming. Now, I'm not here to judge and tell people that they're wrong in what they're doing, but what I'm here is to tell you the facts. Even though there's no such thing as facts. You know me better than that. But you've made yourself a permanent mark. And a lot of you argue that, oh, well, it's just who I am. And it's like, but you're 22 years old. Of course you're going to say that fucking bollocks. And to hear an 18-year-old argue why they want a tattoo of the name of a footballer or their date of birth or something that's current, the zeitgeist, tattooed on them, and try to argue that this will really matter and could be damaging to them in the future, it's fun. And I've seen a hell of a lot of regret, tattoo regret, let's call it. And with clothing, at least you have the option to change. But we conform in societies, we conform in groups, and we tend to want to wear the clothes that everyone else is around us is wearing. But I say be daring sometimes. Just put something different on and you feel like a different person. Buy an actual outfit, which is very different to what you normally wear. Put it on one day and go out. And trust me, you'll experience it. You feel like a different person. I've done it several times in my life. And I've even let my friend dress me. I went to I forget the name of the shop because I don't shop at these places. Gap, and she took me down, and I told her to select everything for me. She chose my trousers, my shirts, and my 2 pairs of shoes. And I was like, I don't wear those kind of clothes, and my feet look big in those drain pipes and so on. And she said, no, they look great. So I bought them, I put them on, and as you can see, I look okay. And I was happy with it. But I think part of that was because I'd seen the fashion and then realising now I can be part of it, and it looks okay, and I'm a part of everything. I'm happy with that. And that's all it was. But now all you see me in is a pair of blue jeans, this tracksuit top, and occasionally, like a plain sports top. And I'm happy to say that I'm not a victim to fashion, and I'm happy to wear what I want, and you should be too. And with that, look after yourselves.
Something going on in this mind. If I know I'm looking so hard, I can't find it. Something going on in this head. Look at me, I used to be a funky dread.